Hello and welcome to this week's live weekly warm-up. This is the first one of the year, so as always, I'm very excited. This one is going to be sort of a different kind of exercise. It's not necessarily a true warm-up exercise, but it's something that we can implement and incorporate into all of the different music that we play, but it works particularly well in warm-up stuff as well. So I thought that would be a good thing to include in a live weekly warm-up. The other thing that's sort of cool about this one is it goes really well with the video that I published just 2 days ago, this last Saturday, which was all about tongue motion and articulation and how to tongue well and properly on the clarinet. And this exercise is the perfect way to work on that. I know I've talked about it before in different trainings and other things that I've done in the past, and I do this with my students all the time because I think it's really, really powerful exercise. But what it is actually buzzing, just like a brass instrument or brass player does to make sound on their instrument. And it does wonders for air support and making sure that the tongue is moving independently from the air and embouchure. So that's why I wanted to go over it today. But first, before I actually talk about too much what it is, I just sort of want to demonstrate the power of it. So I'm going to start with just doing it, and hopefully you'll be able to hear a difference between the sort of before and after. So what I'm going to do is play a little articulation pattern, then I'm going to buzz it, and then I'm going to play it again, and hopefully you can hear a difference. I'm already pretty warmed up, so my pre-buzzing might be hopefully okay already, but hopefully buzzing will make it even better. And you'll get a feel for sort of how to do this and how to get the most out of it. So that sounded fine, but now I'm going to buzz it, and let's see if it helps. So. Now play again. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Let me try something else also. I was practicing this morning the third movement of the Mozart Concerto, which has some notoriously tricky articulations, and I think something like that is absolutely perfect to practice buzzing on. So let's try the same before and after and see if we can hear a bigger difference on something that's a little more challenging. Now buzzing. Yeah, I think that helped a little bit too. And this works really, really well, especially when you're actually warming up too. I'm already pretty warmed up and have been playing, so things are going well, and I sort of have this read figured out and everything already. But this is a great thing to do in your sort of warm-up, articulation warm-ups in particular. It's great for articulation. It's also great for scales and things like that. Just a quick overview of what I'm actually doing. So I'm truly just buzzing my lips as a brass player does it. If you're unsure of how to do that, it does take a little bit of practice at first. Feel free to look up some tutorials on actually how to buzz on like the trumpet or something like that. It's exactly the same idea. Just a quick rundown. I like to do it by just sort of saying M to hold the lips together and then blowing through that to get that buzzing sound. You have to find just the right tension on your lips, but I think more important than the lip tension is actually the air pressure, and that's part of the point of this exercise. So try just saying M and then blowing. M. And usually you'll get hopefully something sort of like that. If you're getting like where it's really high or not coming out, try to relax the middle of your lips a little bit. If you get something that's sort of sputtery or maybe too low, like then try maybe tightening your lips, especially from the corners, and using more air. More air will actually be more helpful to get that nice, continuous, steady buzz. And that's the goal as you're doing this buzzing, is to have it as steady and consistent as possible, especially once you start tonguing. If you hear yourself going where it's sort of changing as you're using your tongue, then that's an indication that either your embouchure pressure is changing or your air pressure is changing, and that'll cause issues when you're playing the clarinet. The beauty of buzzing is when you're actually playing, you may not notice that. You may be changing your embouchure pressure, your air pressure. You can't really feel it, and maybe you can kind of hear it. If you're being really, really picky with yourself, you can hear maybe a little thud or a little something in the sound, but it's hard to really know exactly what the issue is. Whereas buzzing, it's immediate. If there's any variation and it's not just where it's just the tongue very lightly interrupting with that very continuous buzz, then it means that there's something going wrong with your air pressure or your lips. And luckily, our brains are really smart, and just by doing the buzzing and getting the buzz to go very consistently, then we can easily translate that onto the clarinet. So I know this is a little bit different than a normal warm-up exercise, but if you have any questions about how this buzzing works, leave a comment with that. And I encourage you to try it over the course of this week when maybe you're doing your articulation warm-ups, if it's a scale articulation or staccato or whatever it may be. Try buzzing and see how it goes. When you're working on your music, if you have big intervals that need to be really legato, you have some staccato articulation, whatever it may be, try buzzing and see if you can get a difference in your sound, and then try to keep that difference going and keep it consistent. Once you buzzed and get it sounding great, then try to get it to sound great like that every time. So I hope that this is helpful. Good luck trying it over the course of this week, and I will see you next week in the next live weekly warm-up.